100 points, the Centurion season, a domestic quadruple, record after record being smashed by this Manchester City side. A treble winning campaign. They said it'd never be done. They can't do that. They'll never do what they did in 1999. They'll never achieve that. We did. Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that. We did. We absolutely did. There's every reason to wake up as a Manchester City fan today and feel proud. You know, we've been knocked out by Real Madrid, 14 times winners that likely could go on to become the 15-time winners of the Champions League. Hats off to Real Madrid for putting in one of the most championship standard defensive performances I've ever seen at the Etihad. Quality defensive performance, but that's the great Real Madrid we saw last night. Pretty pitiful attacking display, really, from the great Real Madrid, the Galacticos. There was nothing galactic about them yesterday. Very much on planet Earth. You know, very average. But they did what they came to do. They knocked us out. They defended, and they hung on in there, took us to penalties. That was their aim, and they achieved their aim. And they knocked us out on a penalty shootout, which is a complete lottery, a bit of bad luck. I don't want to get into individual blaming of names. Kyle Walker and Bernardo Silva, those two names in particular, are going to be on the tips of the tongues of lots of City fans discussing who's to blame for things that happened in the game. And there were moments in the game that individual moments have been a bit costly. Fine details we're talking about, though. We're not talking about one catastrophic error that's led to a Real Madrid situation or anything like that. We're talking about fine details, millisecond decisions from individuals. It's an absolute killer blow. It's a bitter pill to swallow for Manchester City fans, but we have to swallow it, and we have to swallow it with a bit of pride, because here we are in the Champions League knockout stages of the quarterfinals, having already won the treble, last season. These achievements, people may say, oh, look at him going back, using history as his tool to defend and deflect away from this result. No, I'm using recent history, as recent as last season. I think that's very applicable to this Manchester City side. We're talking the last 5 years, what I'm talking about. I'm not going back decade after decade after decade to talk about these things. And we have to accept that sometimes the babies get their bottles. Manchester United fans and Liverpool fans, celebrating. I remember what it was like. I remember watching in 1999 and 2000 when Real Madrid went to Old Trafford and beat them 4-3 with an amazing game, a Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo hat-trick. It was an amazing performance from Real Madrid. That was a real blockbuster Real Madrid performance. Nothing like last night. That was scabby. I've seen championship sides come to the Etihad and put in a bigger attacking display than Real Madrid did last night. That's beside the point, though. The point is the fact that I remember celebrating Real Madrid knocking Manchester United out. I remember that feeling. It was hollow. It was shallow. There was no substance. There was no visceral feeling to the celebrations that I wanted to celebrate more about the idea of United being knocked out of the Champions League. But I knew full well when the weekend rolled about, here comes the weekend, I've got to go back and support my crap team that loses every week. That's what United fans are living in, that reality right now. They're celebrating the idea of Manchester City getting knocked out of the Champions League because they can't come close to even being in this situation. And at the weekend, they've got to go back to supporting their crap teams. And that's the sad reality for the life of a Manchester United fan. As of, 2024, in April. That's the life of a Manchester United fan. And Liverpool fans is not too far short. Arsenal fans as well, of course, they'll be feeling sorry for themselves a little bit today. But they went out with a whimper. At least we went out with spirit. We went out of that Champions League with a real attacking purpose. It wasn't the greatest attacking performance from Manchester City in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net, considering we had 33 chances. But I thought over the course of the game, the better team lost. The better team were knocked out of the tournament. And that's what Champions League football does to you. That's what knockout football does to you. And that's why I've always said the Premier League is a harder trophy to win. Much harder. The Champions League has an element of luck to it. So you can't define the difficulty when luck plays a part. You know, if luck's playing a part and the knockout stages, you can scab your way through a little bit. You look at that Chelsea team that won it when they beat Bayern Munich with that Didier Drogba equaliser to go on and win it against Bayern Munich. You know, Bayern Munich battered them. They absolutely destroyed them, but that's knockout football. And that's why I've never held the Champions League. I think it's more prestigious and that it's a bigger accolade. It gets more eyeballs, the Champions League, because of the luck, because of the entertainment factor. And that's why the Champions League is deemed as a bigger trophy to win than the Premier League. But I think the Premier League is a harder trophy to win because it weeds out the wannabes, the fakers, the pretenders, you know. All of a sudden, Manchester City have gone top of the Premier League, and Arsenal and Liverpool, I haven't heard a word from them. I haven't heard a peep from Liverpool and Arsenal for well over a week now. I wonder why that is, you know. I also wanted to apologise, as you could tell, because I could feel the tickle coming in my throat, to apologise to everyone that I wasn't able to do the watch along yesterday. I'm going to keep this video short and sweet, but I did want to remind City fans that we're not done. You know, we could come away with a double, an FA Cup and Premier League double. I mean, what a season that would be, considering it's following on from a treble winning season. To then go and win the Premier League and the FA Cup would be unbelievable. That's not done yet, by the way. We've got a very difficult task, a very similar task to what we faced last night. Chelsea are going to come to Wembley in that FA Cup semi-final, and they're going to play exactly the same way. Hit them on the break, hold on, batten down the hatches, and just hope for the best defensively and spring a counter-attack here and there, and maybe we can nick a goal and hang on to it. That's exactly the playbook that every team seems to want to bring to Manchester City. Now, there's no good just whinging about it. I saw Rodri say there was only one team. Completely agree. You know, there is a level of pride you can have by being that attacking side, by being the side that wants to win the game rather than not losing the game. You know, you look at Arsenal when they came to the Etihad and they celebrated the 0-0. You know, there was one side that wanted to win and there was one side that wanted to draw. In the Premier League, that is a costly approach. In knockout football, that can get you through. That's the difference in the two tournaments, and which is why I think the Premier League is a bigger and more hard, it's a definitely harder trophy to win because of what I've just said, because it weeds out the people that are just trying to scrape by and see what they can get away with, you know? You can't get away with Manchester City's attacking performances and their dominance with the football over the course of a 38-game season. You can get away with it in the space of 90 minutes, where after that 90 minutes and that final whistle blows, you're knocked out, you know, or taking it to penalties, and then it's a potluck. Like I said, I wanted to apologise to everyone for missing the watch along. My throat is in bits, to be honest, and I mean, I'm struggling to make it through this video right now. And the get well wishes was amazing, by the way. Thank you so much to everyone who wished me well. It's laryngitis. It's like such a pathetic illness that most people just crack on, but it's the one illness that attacks the vocal cords. So for someone who uses their voice to do this, it's a very important tool, my voice, in the YouTube industry. And if you can't talk properly, like I'm struggling to now, it's not ideal. So there was no chance of getting through a 3-hour watch long. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. But I thought once we went 1-0 down, we responded pretty well. I thought we held the ball throughout the whole game. We dominated the football. It was frustrating to see Kyle Walker come back and you know, it was a bit of rustiness in that first 10 minutes where the long ball, the space for Jude Bellingham to bring that ball down, bring Vinicius Jr. into the game. Kyle Walker plays him onside, and then he's got to get in better shape. He's too busy holding his hands in the air, waving for offside. He's got to forget the offside, play to the whistle. Simple rule one of defending, really. Play to the whistle. And unfortunately wasn't to be from that mistake. But from there on out, I thought City dominated the ball. I thought they played some really, really good football. Haaland was struggling. I think that the one man who has sent Real Madrid through, and quite literally being the final kick of the game, was Rudiger. He nullified so much of our threats. And I mean, as much as I can't stand the guy, he's vicious. He's a bully. You know, on the pitch, he's a bully. I'm sure off the pitch, he's a lovely person, but on the pitch, he's a bully. And they needed that yesterday because Haaland bullies defenders most of the time, but for very rarely do you see Erling Haaland get bullied. And he was bullied over both legs against Rudiger. And it was a real eye-opener for Erling Haaland. He's young, he's growing, like physically, he's not finished growing yet. He's still a young lad. And he'll learn from it. He'll learn from it. There was moments where his hold-up play, though, was bouncing. In the first half, it was bouncing off him like he was a wardrobe. He's got to improve his hold-up play in the game as well. But the Real Madrid shape was the same throughout the game. Tight, compact, and just waiting to... They didn't have any build-up play. When they got the ball back on the edge of their own area, they had no build-up play. They couldn't get out, but they were hoping for midfield mistakes. In that middle third of the pitch where City were passing it around and being crisp and maintaining control, they were just waiting, sniffing out mistakes, waiting to pounce on a possible counter-attacking opportunity. It's very much like playing against Manchester United. That's all the Manchester derbies as of late have been played like that. City have all the ball, but there's that constant, like, back of your mind threat. Like, oh, what if we give the ball away, they can go up the other end and they've got players that can hurt you. That Marcus Rashford goal, at the Etihad, that thunder bastard into the top corner, what a goal that was, out of nothing. Special moments like that. That's Real Madrid and Manchester United. They play like that. But over the course of a 38-game season, playing like that will get you found out. And Real Madrid are in an easier league that compared to the Premier League and the rest of the team from top to bottom. The quality is difficult every week. So for City to be here, we should hold our heads high to even have got to this stage of the season. It would be easy to down tools at the start of this season and think, well, we won the treble last year. We completed football. Okay? Let's move on and see what this season brings us. Unfortunately, it's not brought us another Champions League, but we're still within a very realistic possibility of winning a Premier League and FA Cup double. That's insane. That's incredible when you really think about it. The fact that we came close to because, if we knock out Real Madrid, I watched Bayern and Arsenal following the City game, or at least a big chunk of the extended highlights, and I thought they offered very little that scared me, either side. Arsenal went out with a whimper. Bayern were decent enough, but I felt like we've got more than what Bayern had to offer. So I felt like if we'd beaten Real Madrid, we'd have gone on to win this Champions League. And I feel like Real Madrid will go on to win it now. But you got to take your hats off to Real Madrid for defending as well as they did. You don't want to be too bitter in the fact that football can be played in many, many ways, There's no right or wrong way to win a football match. If you win the match, you win the match. And Real Madrid's way is very unorthodox compared to the traditions of Real Madrid, at least. Defending and hanging on. The only time I remember Real Madrid ever doing that was against Barcelona, Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. So it's familiar territory in that regards going up against the Pep Guardiola side, but still, you expect more from a Galactico side to present an attacking threat, but it got them through. So there's no knocking that because they are into the semi-finals, we are not. It is a bitter pill to swallow, but the fine details at the end of the day is the fine details. Kevin De Bruyne, for example, missing that second chance. He took his first goal, lovely, but he could have won the game 5 minutes later. If that goes in, it's game over. It's game over at that point. And the longer the extra time went on, the more you felt. Penalties are a really tough one to take when you've been the attacking side. It feels like you're on a losing side of the penalty shootout. You're already at a disadvantage because of the momentum of the game that took place before it. You were the better side. You were the side that wanted to win. The side hanging on for penalties feel better, have a more impetus going into the penalty shootout, and the momentum feels with them going into the penalty shootout. And that was, at that point, as soon as it went to penalties, it felt like they were on a winner. The experienced head of Modric stepping up and missing, I thought maybe. Ederson stepping up and scoring a penalty. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant to see, but not enough. I'm struggling with this video already, as you can see. Just returned from my coughing fit. Don't worry, I'm not crying. These aren't real tears, Real Madrid tears. Don't worry, that's not it. I've just finished my coughing fit. So I'm going to have to cut this video short. I didn't want to come away today and not make a video. I wanted to power through this video, keep it short so my throat doesn't explode. But at least prove to you guys that I'm here when we're in our worst moments, and I want to support this club no matter what, and so should you. Don't turn your back on this side because we're going to need this. They're going to need our support as fans going forward into the Chelsea game, you know, and then hopefully into the FA Cup final following that, and the final games in the Premier League, that we can go and win 2 massive trophies, and it'll be a successful season. A really successful season, and we can be proud of this side following on from the treble. Get your thoughts in the comments below, Blues. I want to hear them. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up